Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
Welcome into another Red Out Podcast. Devin, Matt, and we're talking a lot of basketball news, obviously. Western has finally made the big dance after 10 years. Woohoo!
Yeah.
All praise be to Steve Lutz. Okay. So real quick here, I've got a little bit of softball news, baseball news. Looks like softball had a series with New Mexico State, not this past week, but the week before, and ended up kind of splitting. They beat them on the 8th, 2-1. They lost 0-9 on that Saturday, the 9th, and on the 10th, they beat them 11-0 in 5 innings. For those of you on YouTube, you will see the little infographic. And then on the 13th, 15th, 16th, let's see, they lost on the 13th to EKU. They beat FIU, swept them from the 15th to the 17th. And then today, as we're recording on the 20th, they will play Moorhead at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then, of course, we'll post the rest of those games later on in the episode for the others that are watching. Now, quickly, baseball, just some updated scores here, and I'll post the infographic later with the with the upcoming events for those of you all who are interested. Western played Austin Peay on the 12th and won 12-9. And then they played on the 15th and 16th and 17th. They had a series with Southeast Missouri State. And then they played Southern Indiana yesterday, the 19th. But Western ended up beating Southeast Missouri State on the 15th. They lost on the 16th. And on the 17th, they won 7-2. And then they also played Southern Indiana and won 5-3 yesterday. So that was a really quick recap for a lot of those.
Yeah.
But
one thing noteworthy, real quick, the Austin Peay win was actually, a lot of times you look at it and say, "Oh, Austin Peay, whatever." They're actually quite good, and they have some quality wins. So beating them was a nice victory, as well as I think we've won 9 out of the last 11. So
yeah,
tops are looking pretty decent in baseball and softball.
I know that a lot of our baseball people were really excited about that win, and I was kind of like you were. I was like, "Woo, Austin Peay, woo!" But I mean, it is a big deal for Western, and to be able to beat them, I mean, it's a great thing. So women's basketball. I know we're really getting into it real quick, but this is kind of the meat and potatoes of the episode, so to speak. Lady Tops did not do very well in the Conference USA tournament. That's kind of like what we predicted would happen. They played Liberty. I believe it was last Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And that was at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And I did actually watch this game, so I have redeemed myself for some of you. I am a fan.
You are somewhat of a true fan now.
I shall go give my 4 go tops so I can redeem myself in the eyes of the Hilltopper Church. But anyway,
What we say, 5 fight songs and a couple go tops.
Yes. I did have one complaint, and I don't know if it was just me or if you saw this too, Matt, but Liberty Shmuda, the big center she's like 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
Like, was it just me, or did she have like a bunch of over the backs?
There was some stuff in there that, she definitely had a few moments and everything. I mean, ultimately, I feel like really, we did everything. I definitely didn't leave thinking the refs did anything.
No.
I mean, there were some issues. You got the quarterfinals, so you have some of your lower end refs still in the tournament. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't feel like that cost us the game. I think it was just Liberty was better, and we just had some trouble hitting a few shots. We had chances for about 5 or 6 minutes in a row to tie or take the lead, and we would turn it over, or we would just miss a shot or whatever. And so I mean, individually for that one game, you have to like the effort that they put out. I mean, they played well besides shooting, really. I mean, they didn't do anything awful. They just had some trouble making some buckets. They forced a bunch of turnovers, didn't turn it over that much. I mean, if you look at the statistics, it really was just kind of um, shooting, really. And there was and rebounding, I think, was the other one, which was a problem all year. So, proud
I
of
mean,
them, you know.
like the first, and that was the hard part for me watching it, is the first 2 minutes of the first quarter, there was like no score.
Yeah.
0-0. And I mean, there was 4 opportunities for both teams. Literally one back, and then somebody scored. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is rough. This is going to be a long game. What's her name? Not that lady. Who is the girl?
For WKU or
Liberty Bailey, Jordan Bailey. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Dude, that girl could shoot lights out.
Yeah. They have some good players.
Well, the thing with her, I mean, and this was at least my opinion, you know, you're watching a game when you're watching basketball and somebody takes a 3 or whatever, and you go, yeah, money. She would throw those up, dude, and it was like money. Like there was not a shot there was maybe 1 or 2 that she threw up that I was like, yeah, ain't a chance. But there's several of those that she threw up, and I was like, that's in.
Yeah.
That was, I mean,
Yeah.
she played really good, and I can't fault them. They did a really great job.
Yeah. She took 9 shots and scored 17 points. That's pretty efficient. Didn't even shoot a free throw, just made 5 out of 6 threes and 6 out of 9 overall.
Well, at least Western was smart enough not to foul the person that was having a really good hot streak of shooting. So,
Right. Yeah. I
um,
mean, it's just one of those things like, I don't know if I assume they noticed it on the broadcast. I don't know, but Alexis Mead kind of tweaked an ankle and wasn't herself the whole game.
yeah,
It was nice to see Destiny Salary kind of bust out, and she almost had a double double. And let's say we had 9 turnovers. It's just when you shoot 35%, let's see, yeah, 36, 37% for the game and 27 from 3. And then the opponent shoots 40, 42 and 42.
yeah.
It's just tough to overcome that. I mean, it was a battle. They had their chances. Liberty had a lead, and Western kind of fought back and really sat there with the opportunity to tie it for several minutes late in the game and just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
And so individually, you have to look at it and say that's a good enough effort. And it's frustrating because if you had found a way past Liberty, you had 6 seed New Mexico State sitting there waiting for you to get to the tournament finals. So it's just a missed opportunity. And typical of this year's Lady Topper team, honestly, there were a lot of close calls that could have gone the other way in several of the games, and just kind of a frustrating end to the season.
Well, I mean, and it's like you said, we shot 36% from the field. We shot 41%, or they shot 41%. So that's 5% difference right there. That is actually, we took 63 total shots. They took 55.
Mm-hmm.
We both made 23 shots total, field goal percent. So, if we had made, even 41% of those 63 shots, we're winning that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing that I think would get lost in the stats was we forced 19 turnovers, but a lot of them weren't live ball turnovers. And so you ended up getting the ball, but then you reset against a team that's way bigger than you. And they get to set up their half court defense. And that's why, in a lot of ways, we had trouble. We didn't have a ton of fast break points. I think we had, saying here, fast break points. We had
4. Yeah.
4 fast break points on 19 turnovers.
And
so
honestly,
that's just terrible luck.
I would think that Alexis Mead would have been the fast break person, and with her tweaking her ankle, it kind of, I won't say limited, but it shortened our roster as far as fast break points go.
Yeah, absolutely. That she's one, and then Acacia Hayes would be your other one besides Destiny Salary. Well,
Yeah.
Acacia only played 13 minutes because she's coming off injury. Um, Inexplicably, Karis Allen played 5 minutes. I have no idea why she didn't play more minutes against a bigger team. Um, some of the people that you might think would get out in transition, the only person that really had a good game was Destiny Salary offensively.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's just it's frustrating to see it fizzle out like it did at the end of the year. And I think it calls into question Greg Collins, which I don't know if you want to transition to that article.
You go right ahead.
From Jeff Nations from Bowling Green Daily News. First of all, I met Jeff down there in Huntsville, and he's a real nice guy. Was super helpful with us and
That's not what you
everything.
said That's not what you said off the air.
Right. Well,
Completely kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Jeff, you know the truth. Anyway, if you ever listen to this, thanks for listening, bud. But anyway, so no, he had an article, and I just wanted to go through it and really just kind of talk about some of the quotes that are in there. This is certainly not a shot at Jeff. He's just reporting what was said. But I do think that the narrative is interesting about the Lady Toppers to summarize this year, because if you haven't read the article, basically it says that Todd Stewart says that Collins is coming back and that he thinks that he's going to right the ship and quote unquote get back to winning under Collins. And so I'm not here to question whether Greg Collins can do it. My question is everything that we use as the excuse to say that he deserves more time really accurate? So it says, obviously the Tops lost in the quarterfinals and whatever, 15-7 record, just the second losing season in Greg Collins' 6 seasons. It doesn't say this in the article, but it's only the fourth losing season since 1981-82. So basically, since Paul Sanderford came onto the Hill, WKU women's basketball has 4 losing seasons. Collins has 2 of them. Okay. He took over for Michelle Clark Hurd, and he was her top assistant. And so Todd Stewart confirmed this week that Collins will be back for a 7th season. And Todd says, hey, we're not happy with this. That's not the standard, et cetera. So that's the right thing to say. But he says, quote, and this is straight from Todd Stewart, quote, the other part that I think contributes to that is there probably aren't many programs in the country that could lose their leading scorer and not have it impact their team. I think when Acacia Hayes got hurt, wasn't able to come back till the next to last game of the season, that was a big blow, and I think that played a big role in it. It's not an excuse, it's an explanation. Well, frankly.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
something else I just was looking up, and I may be wrong on this.
Yeah.
But I actually just Googled this, and according to the WKU Board of Regents Executive December 8th, 2022, Greg Collins' contract, his buyout, ergo termination without cause, is that he would be paid $100,000 for 12 months if he is terminated without cause, which if you let him go because they're losing, that's without cause. So right. I find it hard to believe that Western can't pay $1.2 million over 12 months.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what we're getting at here as far as like what. I mean, I understand. I'm not completely in the boat of like Greg Collins undoubtedly should be out. I'm not saying that, but it's been 6 years. We were upset with Stansbury after 6 and 7 years. My question next year is, what does Collins do that blows us away so much that we don't regret keeping him on another season? I mean, I like the man. I think
I,
he's a great person, but at some point it's put up or shut up, and he hasn't put up.
I think
And
you got to
we're
dance. I
shutting
think you got to
up.
dance. You got to
Yeah.
dance.
Yeah. And talk about put up or shut up. We're shutting up about the parts that are a little negative about the man. There's nothing wrong with saying he has not produced up to what he should have. He had
Yeah.
teams, you look at in the article it talks about went to the WNIT. Yes, but you backed into that and then you got lucky when Sidney Bob went for 1,000 every game and ended up winning those 2 games for you. Um, you had some other stuff in there that's just like, we're kind of twisting this a little bit to say our preferred narrative. The thing about Acacia, that quote really got me, is like, okay, first of all, Acacia got injured against Middle Tennessee. What's your excuse for losing to Sam Houston, who hadn't won in 2 months when she was perfectly healthy? Can you tell me that one? Because um, they had not won since December 1st against anyone in Division One, and you played them. Um, what date was that? February 1st. The full 2 months they had not won a game, and you play them. You give them a chance. You end up going to overtime, and you still screwed it up. You had a chance to recover at the end of regulation, and you still lost by 7. And yes, it was on the road or whatever, but like that had nothing to do with the Casey Hayes injury. Also losing to FIU. FIU was a good team, but you lost that game too before the Casey Hayes injury. So, in my opinion, they were already starting to unravel a little bit. There were some signs of like infighting and stuff before she got injured. Um, like we remember them arguing with each other against New Mexico State when they lost 44-50. That was also well before Acacia Hayes was injured. And then they got lucky to win one against UTEP by 1 when Destiny Salary hit a reverse layup. Otherwise, they would have lost 4 in a row before Acacia Hayes injuries. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just think that we need to. I think that like here's what frustrates me: Lady Topper basketball, like it or not, people, is the most successful program on the hill. They have the most history. They have the most trophies. They have the most Final Four appearances. They have a national championship appearance. Um, Lady Topper basketball is the best sport on WKU's campus. Now, it may not be the most mainstream or whatever, but we should treat it like it's a precious jewel. I mean, it's a wonderful program, and the fact that we're okay with 6 years in a row of not making it, and we're sitting here saying that we're going to give them a 7th, um, which reading the tea leaves, I think if he doesn't produce something great this next year, he is probably gone. But this is a long time to sit on a guy that took over a program that had won and made it to the NCAA tournament 4 out of 6 years before that. And he took over for the from the same staff with the same system, and he immediately was worse and has had 2 losing seasons. And they make excuses about injuries and stuff, but that wasn't the only reason that all these seasons have been disappointing. There's been drama, there's been other stuff. And so it's just kind of like, let's not completely paint the narrative that this is just bad luck. It's also not executing and not doing a good job and not setting up your roster. Like in the article, it talks about rebounding being an issue. Well, yeah, because you didn't recruit anybody that's a prolific rebounder. You have to have people that have certain skills, and you have all players that are not good at rebounding. So, of course, your team sucks at rebounding. But that should have been something that you figured out about your roster and targeted long before right now when you realize, oh, crap, we can't rebound this year. So, anyway, I digress.
So here's my thought. Do we, and I say we, cousin Todd here, Is he waiting for Coach Lutz to be paid off, move to another school? We have to get a buyout from that school, then use that buyout money to pay for letting Collins go.
Maybe.
If the trajectory continues on the way it does, then that may be what his thought process is. Because if Lutz does the same run he did this year next year, then we could be looking at, a new basketball coach, as bad as that sounds. Very quick.
I mean, I think if it were me making the decision, knowing what I know and everything, I understand there's other factors and I understand there's a buyout, but at some point, like next year's not going to get any better. In my opinion, it's time to cut them loose and go in a different direction. But
Yeah.
I also understand keeping him on. It's just I don't think you're going to get the result out of it that you hope to get. So, end of the day, it's a big waste of time, and everybody's going to be frustrated next year when they go 18-14 and they keep him again because quote unquote he improved.
Well, and that's the thing too is hypothetically, if we had kept Sanford Coach Sanford for another year, what would it have been then? And I mean, I think Collins is technically a step above Sanford season wise, but I mean, he's still under 500 for win losses and conference play. He's well under that, but
he certainly has a clue. Like Sanford, just what didn't have much hope with that. I mean, it was clear that there was some ineptitude. I mean, Collins is not inept. He's not an idiot, and he's not like awful to the tune of like we could lose every game next year. But I don't think that he has the top level ability to win either. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work out. That he is just kind of mediocre. Well, for Lady Topper basketball, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think we should hold them to that standard.
So hypothetically, would you compare him more to Stanford or Sanford? Or Stansbury, I'm sorry. Stansbury or Sanford?
I'd say he's in between. I'd
Okay.
say like Stansbury was better than Collins. Stansbury took over worse. He did much better, had way more opportunity to possibly achieve, and we were upset at Stansbury. We were frustrated with Stansbury. So if we're frustrated with him after the same amount of seasons, why are we not frustrated with Collins as well?
Yeah.
Or more? Because Collins has had what was it, 9-21 season, or it was like 7-20 or something ridiculous. It was terrible. Like they were not even close to competitive. And then yes, he had a nice job coaching last year. He did a good job last year. That was his best coaching job. It seems like he's done what he needed to keep the heat off of him, but that's about it. But he has not been an overachiever. He's barely met expectations when he did meet it, or in some cases, he completely underachieved and is almost like he's just getting away with it.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's jump into some men's basketball here real quick.
Please.
At least we'll have some good news to talk about. But let's talk real quick. It's probably the first year in a few years that you've actually been able to go to the Conference USA tournament. You went to the Mecca. You worshipped at the feet of Judy. So what did you experience? How was your experience down there?
Oh, well, all hail King Queen Judy or whatever. But by the way, she seemed real pissed when we won. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it was an awesome experience. I mean, we were able to go. We were able to be on press row. We were able to ask really good questions that went viral on social media, whatever.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Yeah.
What the hell else you got to do?
Yeah. That was our question and whatever. So it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of, being able to interact with players and fans and stuff. If first of all, for people listening, if you've never been to a conference tournament, especially if you've never been to the whole tournament, you really should go once. and experience it, and it really is a thrill every time that I get to go. It's a lot of fun. You learn so much. You get to know players, players get to know you, the staff, whatever. You make a lot of connections and bonds with people that like I never see at home games ever, but I see them at conference tournament. I'm like, oh yeah, how you been? Whatever. But I hadn't seen them in a decade in Diddle. And it's just the different demographics or whatever that you see. Like it's just different where they're more isolated when you're on the road traveling and you see these people, you never see them at Diddle. And so it's just really nice to go down there and enjoy it. It was awesome, and obviously we won. You know, we blew out New Mexico State. We completely obliterated Middle, and then against UTEP, we it was way more of a battle, but ultimately we were mostly in control of that, and you know, took control in the paint and you know, forced them to make threes. And when they started missing some shots, we took over the game and ultimately won. And it's just it's incredible to see how like immediately Lutz comes in, and you knew that it was different, but then you know you have your 4-game losing streak at the end of the year, and then they just out of nowhere pull out their best basketball of the entire season for the 3 games that they played in Huntsville, and it was just magical to go in with absolutely no momentum, 3 bad losses really. You know, La Tech's not a bad loss; it's a top 100 loss, but every other one was a terrible loss. And then you come in and you just obliterate everybody. It was beautiful to see, and it's been so long since we've been in the NCAA tournament. I can't believe that the last time that we were in the tournament was when we played Kansas in 2013. Like that just blows my mind. And I'm just proud to be a topper. It was incredible.
Did you cry?
I actually didn't. I thought I would.
I thought you would. I really thought
Yeah.
you would.
I don't know. It didn't sink in. Like it just, you know, I'm thrilled. And when I hugged my dad, I teared up a little bit. That was cool because
Yeah.
me and my dad were on press row and everything, and you know, he
Oh,
helped
you
us.
got you. We got press passes for that one, didn't we? For Conference USA.
Yeah, yeah, we did. And it was cool. I mean, we were on the court and got to take all the pictures and all that stuff, but kind of gave him an embrace, and we got a little emotional for 5 seconds. But I thought I would be a blubbering mess. I just, you know, I'm not going to fake it to get some YouTube pics, but I just didn't react that way. But it was awesome, and it was a complete thrill to finally break the dam, so to speak, and kick in the door. You know, whatever you want to say it. It was just long overdue, and the wait is over. And to all those people that laughed and criticized and whatever about how things could be different, the moment we got rid of Stansberry, you put in a quality person who knows what they're doing and knows how to finish things off, and he immediately wins. Don't tell me that WKU cannot be a champion every year or every few years.
Yeah.
That's horse manure. That drives me crazy that people have given up on the fact that WKU can be elite. That's garbage.
Yeah.
If you have someone that can run, it doesn't matter where you are, but especially when you have the resources, when you have the reputation, like WKU, like when you look at the coaching candidates, we immediately have the top end of the pool of coaching candidates for any mid-major job. Like we were in the running for Will Wade if we wanted to. We were in the running for all the good candidates. If you're FIU or UTEP or whatever, you don't have as many options to get recruits or coaches. Western is automatically a job that people want to go to because they know they can win.
Yeah.
And recruits know that WKU is a winning program. So you're going to have higher end everything. Don't tell me that WKU can't be a dynasty again and can't be one of the great college basketball programs in modern college basketball. That's garbage. And I refuse to accept that. And here's your proof right here. Lutz comes in year one and gets it done.
Yes, and I mean, honestly, I would just kind of like to say to the people who doubted him coming in, you know,
Nana boo
you,
boo.
yeah, you were wrong, buddy. It's not that people doubted him, but they thought he was not a good a hire as other options, and I I can't say that's true, and I can't say it's false because you don't know, but I mean, and even in the tournament this year, we had the cards fell the perfect way for Western.
Absolutely.
Amazingly so. La Tech ended up getting knocked out. Let me check by
Middle.
Oh, was it Middle?
Yeah.
Okay, so La Tech got knocked out by Middle. We ended up playing Middle on the second round, if I'm not mistaken. I got all my notes here pulled
Yes.
up. Yes, we played Middle, and we played New Mexico State. Ended up beating them by 20. Did amazing. We had actually half as many turnovers as they did. I could put the infographic up here in a minute. But then we ended up playing Middle and just thumped the dog out of them and beat them by 31 points. I mean, the guys just ran off.
Yeah.
They just
I mean,
ran them out of the gym, as bad as that sounds. But
we absolutely lucked out there. I mean,
yeah,
if you are the 3 seed and you talk about the possibilities of teams you could play, first of all, the draw to play New Mexico State was as good of a draw as you could possibly ask for, given the options in Conference USA, just who you could possibly play. So the fact that New Mexico State fell to Western as the 3, the fact that Western went 8-8 in conference and had the standalone 3 seed was a miracle. It just completely worked out exactly in their favor. So New Mexico State was a good matchup, and Western almost never was going to lose to them. And then Middle beats La Tech. Western could have faced the 6 seed, the 2, and the 1. Okay. Instead, not only did they not face the 2 or the 1, they avoided Liberty, who was probably more of a favorite to win against WKU than UTEP would be. They also, the only way that the path could have been easier for Western is if Jacksonville State or FIU had made the finals. Otherwise, it was literally as easy of a path as Western could have had to
yeah,
get to the finals and win.
yeah,
And UTEP was a worthy opponent for sure. They were such a good team, playing really well. They had won 5 in a row when they played Western. They had won 2 road games within those 5 games. Like they were legitimately playing the best in Conference USA before the tournament, including WKU because Western was playing terrible. But they ran into a Western team that got hot at the right time, and Western without Dante Allen was able to beat UTEP pretty easily without being able to make an exterior shot. We couldn't make threes at all. We shot 15% or something. I don't know what it was.
18 total percent. Yeah,
18%. Yeah. Okay. Whatever's in the teens. It was like 3 for 17 or whatever that number was. And I mean, we still weren't completely in control of that game and really won it fairly easily. Of course, UTEP took a lead, but we made a run right back after that and took it right back, and the game was over. Um,
yeah,
and it was over pretty early. So, I mean, it just felt so good, and we did luck out. I mean, no question. If you had to face Sam Houston and La Tech instead of Middle and UTEP, or even play Liberty instead of UTEP, like it would have been a tougher road. But you know what? We didn't, and we won, and we're in the NCAA tournament. We're playing Marquette, baby. Let's make a
yep.
run
And
in the
yeah,
tournament.
it's honestly, it feels so good to be able to say that we're in the tournament. I mean, and to think that it has been what 11 years since Western has made a tournament run.
Yeah, yeah. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
we had 2 good articles from Fletcher and Ross that talked about how long it's
Well,
been.
there's a novel by Ross, but
Right. It is a full length. It should be published and on shelves soon. But anyway, really good really good essays by some of our older members of the Towel Rack. But I mean, coming out of retirement and all that
Older
stuff.
members.
Or
It's like
veterans.
we had to take Ross's pudding cup so he would write an article for us. Is basically what
That's
it
it. Yeah.
sounded like.
Basically, it was
Uh,
pure manipulation that he actually wrote the article. He was desperate to
and
get his pudding cup.
I will say another thing I was really happy about is location for the tournament this year.
Yes. Let's talk about
We
that.
have been saying on the podcast for years, me and you, Jared, everybody, is this needs to be more centralized. Why do you have it in Texas? That's horrible. And then the Iron Curtain between the games was so ridiculous. And, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'd have to go back and listen to some of our episodes, but I'm pretty sure that we said Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, any of those right there in Alabama would be perfect. And Judy's been listening to the podcast evidently because this is what we've been preaching.
Yes. Jeep,
So,
Judy, thank you.
Judy Tootie, we
Judy
appreciate
image.
you.
Boop, boop. I mean, yeah, it was perfect. Like, first of all, I don't understand how Conference USA couldn't be thrilled. Middle showed up
Yes.
as much as WKU or more. I mean, it was right there comparable. I think Middle probably had slightly more than Western. They're
Now,
also
for the championship, did you have more?
it was even. I mean, they filled
Really?
out the whole lower bowl for their women, and Middle's a little. I don't want to say weird because I mean, actually, I respect this part of their program. Is their fans actually almost care more about their women's basketball than their men? Even when their men were really good with Kermit and they were
Yeah.
going to the tournament, their women had more followers and more people in the stands than their men. And so it's interesting because with Western, like you're going to have, 100 people at a women's game and 2,000 at a guys game at a tournament.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
regardless, it was just awesome to see. Western turned out, Middle turned out. There were some good atmospheres. Really, no one else showed up, but basically, Western and Middle made that tournament a success, and I have no reason to think that they shouldn't be thrilled with how many people were there for the finals. It was a real atmosphere for both games. Western brought down a good chunk for the quarters and semis, and then for the finals, we packed that thing out.
Yeah, I had
So-
some old Facebook alumni, schoolmates, whatever, that went to Western. And the funny thing is I know for a fact one of them started out in Nashville at the UK SEC tournament. And then when they got knocked out, they're like, hey, let's just go on down to Huntsville. We'll go watch Western play.
Yeah.
so the bad thing is I guess they weren't planning on it because they didn't have any Western gear on at the Western tournament with their pictures. So they're just like in t-shirts and coats and stuff. And you're like, okay, so that wasn't planned, but that's fine. Hey, we'll take you. Come on down.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching the game, it was very exciting. And playing UTEP and knowing what their strategy is, it was a lot of honestly, I was nervous there for a few minutes. And then UTEP made a pretty good run right there at the end. And I thought,
absolutely.
But what's his name? Powell? What's his first name?
Zid.
Is it Zid? Yeah, Zid
Yeah,
Powell.
that dude couldn't miss for a while. It was definitely.
No. And then they didn't go back to him.
Yeah, that's true.
Zid Powell plays for UTEP, and they did not go back to him. He was hitting like that Bailey kid was, and I thought we're in trouble if they keep going to him. And then they quit, and it was like, okay, okay, that's fine with me. You just stop throwing to him. That's what works for me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you made it so much easier for us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so what are you thinking as far as looking at at Marquette? Western versus Marquette coming up on Friday, 1 p.m. Central Time. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Well, first of all, Western's a 15 seed playing number 2 Marquette, so Marquette is legit. I mean, let's not sugarcoat that part of it. I was looking at their schedule. My Lord, they played some really good teams. They played Kansas. They played in the Maui Invitational. Like they had a legit conference and non-conference schedule. They had Creighton in their conference. They had UConn in their conference. UConn beat them 3 times. They have 9 total losses, but every one of their losses were a quality loss against, I believe, against a ranked team. I don't know if they had a loss against a non-ranked team. Um, but it's impressive to look at their resume. They also, their point guard, who averages 7.5 assists and 15 or 16 points a game. I think it's Kolek, I think is his last name. Um,
Yes, I've got
he's
him
a,
here. Yeah, little ginger
yeah,
looking dude.
yeah, he's a pretty solid player. And he has been out the last 8 games, and
Oh
he should
wow.
be back. He should be back this game. So that's a little terrifying that they made a 2 seed despite having their point guard out for the last 8 games.
Yeah,
And so they're to be respected. However, I also think that WKU is not your typical 15 seed. I mean,
yeah,
Western, when you look back at their schedule, you could argue that they should have or could have won all but one of their games, and they have 11 losses.
yeah.
And so, the Wichita State game, it seems like WKU was probably not going to win that. They were just kind of snake bit, couldn't make a three, whatever. It was on the road. They weren't going to win that game. But every other game was either a conference game that we know how close conference games were, or it was the meltdowns in Canada, or it was the Wichita State game. There were only 3 losses in non-conference, and both of those 2 losses in Canada, we had double-digit leads. And then in conference, we all know that we had meltdowns like 23 points against New Mexico State, you know, handing teams 14-point leads and then coming back and almost winning anyway. You know, I'm not saying that WKU should be whatever it would be, um, 32-1. I'm not saying that, but they're a much better team than their record. Um, and I think that if WKU plays like they did in the conference tournament, absolutely can have a chance against Marquette. I am concerned deeply because Marquette, I believe they force some turnovers. Um, they have good guard play. Like there's no one in Conference USA that compares to 7.5 assists a game. There aren't very many teams that have 16, 17 point scorers. So there is a higher quality to their team than some of the teams that we played. However, it's March and it's Western Kentucky, and we're better than the seed that we have. And so I would say we absolutely have a shot at it. And if we can find a way past Marquette, the door opens wide open to all kinds of possibilities after that. Because if you can beat Marquette, you can certainly beat a 10 or a 7 seed. You can certainly then you possibly play UK in the Sweet 16. That would be really interesting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly the Tops will be motivated and would not go into that game scared. Um, I mean, the possibilities are endless, really, if you can get past Marquette. Um, but the question is, can they? I'm excited to see it. I'm going. I know we have 5 or 6 Power Rack people going. Um, and it should be an exciting game. And it's in Indy. Like, there's no way
It's
that we're.
basically a home game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the two biggest fan bases there are going to be WKU and Marquette. Marquette's, in Milwaukee, so they're fairly close to Indy.
Probably
Um,
UK too, but
yeah, but UK is not in
oh,
Indy.
I'm sorry, they're in Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're my
They're in
bad.
Pittsburgh. But yeah, I mean, if Western happens to beat Marquette, Red should dominate Indianapolis after that moment because all the Marquette people won't be there, and it'll be WKU's the only team that's close.
Yeah,
So it should be interesting. I'm really excited. I'm hoping there's a ton of red, and I'm hoping that it's like Huntsville, where we take over the stadium and give our team a chance to make a big upset.
it would be very interesting to see. if I'm not mistaken, Purdue's there too, right?
Um,
According to the bracket, because it's got us. I'm guessing Florida, Boise, Marquette. I'm kind of skimming through some of these others,
yeah, let me pull up a bracket.
but it looks like Texas Tech, NC State, Kentucky, and Oakland are in Pittsburgh, and then South Carolina, Oregon, Creighton, Akron are in Pittsburgh as well. But yeah, I mean, so I had a debate with my father earlier about this. He's a UK fan, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I debated that I told him that Kentucky gets into the tournament every year because they're a legacy team. Whether they deserve it or not, they're in the bracket normally. And a lot of that is because of ratings, not because of deserving it. Just saying.
Oh, that'll piss off a
Well, it
second.
did. I did piss my father off. So, but it's that's my thing is it's like there's several years where Kentucky has just been the bottom of the barrel and done horrible. And this is from a non-UK fan, so you imagine what UK fans are doing, burning couches. But and they'll get into the tournament and they'll go to one round, next round they're out. And I'm sorry, but if I'm a UK fan, if you're not making the Elite Eight, that's a horrible year. And you haven't won a title in over 12 years, that's worse than Stansbury in my eyes, for at least for a UK fan. But I digress. I'm a little shaded when it comes to blue, but
Yeah, for sure.
as far as Marquette's concerned, they're 25 of 9 for the season, so they've done really, really well. But like you said, if Western can get past Marquette, you've got Florida. You got probably going to play either Florida or is it Boise State or Colorado who got in? Or have they played the bubble
They
games
played
yet?
tonight. They played tonight.
Oh, they play in Dayton tonight. Okay, I think it's Dayton. I'm looking at a bracket, so it's kind of hard to read on this screen. But yeah, so they're going to play tonight, so we'll know a little bit more tomorrow. But you're looking at possibly a pretty good game. Especially this coming game is going to be good. If Western can do what they need to do, and stop them and do what they need to do. I mean, the bad thing is we've got ESPN has Western at 5.6% chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
If you put down $10, according to Vegas, you will make $80 this week. Western is at plus 800 money line.
Mm.
So, is it a good bet? No, I would not bet it. But points wise, it could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if you look the last 3 years, a 15 is upset a 2 every single year. So that's 25%
That could
chance
happen.
in the last 3 years. So if you're saying that you put in $10 and you get 80, at least within the last couple of years, the odds are in your favor
That's true.
that you make do on that bet. Now,
It could be
the chances are
75%.
still
It could be 75% the other way, though.
right.
And
I
one
mean,
of the other
obviously,
two 15s makes it.
but if you, from a gambling perspective, that's a good bet. Now,
Yeah.
you don't want to put your life savings on it. You don't want to put something that hurts you. But I mean, I would debate putting
You know
together
what, Matt? You've
10 or
talked me
20
into
bucks.
it. I'm going to put $40,000 on Western to win this. We're going to triple our money
Okay.
today.
Woo. Well, hey man, I hope that 320 comes your way. But
Yeah, right. Okay. That's not happening.
oh,
So real quick here
sorry.
towards the end of the podcast, I do have a couple other things. Don McHenry was named to the NABC All District First Team, so that's great. That's the National Association of Basketball Coaches, Division One, All District 11 named him as their first team. I thought Don McHenry did a great job, and honestly, I thought he did pretty good in the interviews too and post game stuff. Just watching and listening. So congratulations to Mr. McHenry for winning that. And then Coach Lutz was actually named a finalist for the Skip Prosser Man of the Year award. So congratulations to him. This award honors those who not only achieve success on the basketball court, but who display moral integrity on and off of it as well. This is the second straight year Coach Lutz has been named a finalist for the award. So congratulations, Coach Lutz. That's awesome, bud. And Western will be playing on Friday on TBS at, 1 p.m. Central Time. So it's 2 p.m. Eastern Time for those of you on the Eastern Time of Kentucky. And then if they win, they will be playing the winner of Florida versus Boise or Colorado State. And so check back here, check Towel Rack. We will be doing updates on all that. As far as the game goes, they'll be doing live tweets, and we'll maybe posting a press conference after. Well, no, we won't be. We don't have press passes because somebody at the school decided we didn't need them this time. So anyway, but we will be updating scores and stuff, and we'll be back next week. Win or lose, to recap the game and either preview the next one or talk about summer and what we're going to be, how our summer schedule is going to be going. We'll try to do an episode a month or so, or every couple of weeks at least, to kind of update and talk to people and let you know how everything's going. Like I said, men's basketball plays, and there is a series for baseball. I will post those in the corner so you all can watch them at this point. And then make my note here. But definitely check back, and we will be covering more Western sports coming up this week, next couple of weeks. And I think I've gotten everything. Isn't that it?
That's about it. Just freaking let's go, man.
Yep, let's go.
It's our time, man. Let's go win some games.
Dancing. It's time to go dancing, man. We're going dancing. We're going dancing. So let's go, Tops. And we appreciate y'all following us this long. And yeah, you can't tell it, but I am swaying right now. And let's go, Tops. Tops.